Hello everyone, Ceri the Craft here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today we're here with a really quick little make. Now, as you know, I art journal. I've got, I think at the last count, about 15 art journals on the go, and I use them, but I now use them as a place to experiment and play, and I thought what I wanted to show you is, like everyone else, I don't like a blank page, so I will make a really quick background just to get away from the blank page. Sometimes the colours I choose inspire what I do on that background. Sometimes that background eventually will get completely obliterated and covered with something else. I don't mind, I'm just not dealing with a blank page. Now, this is a journal by this company. I think they're just called like a sketchbook or drawing book. I've rubbed ink over this just so you can see the name because it was embossed in the same color as this. Marketing people, you can't read it, you can't see it. They come in a variety of different colored covers and a variety of different sizes. The paper isn't anything special as far as I can see. Let's see if I can find a page that I can just, come on. To try to find an actual page that I can show you. Right, see, it's not hugely strong paper. I think they do say you can use watercolors in here, but it's definitely not watercolor paper. So of course I end up with this. Now I tend to use one side, and if I want to make notes on what I'm doing, I'll write it on the other side. There are times, however, when I'll create a complete background across a board. So I'm going to show you a couple of what I'm going to show you how to do. It's extremely quick. The only bit of equipment you really need is a brayer. I'm going to use my 3x5 gel plate mounted onto my acrylic tile, but to be honest with you, you could do it with just the acrylic tile or a surface that you can wipe clean because you do need to brayer a little bit of paint out. So this is what I'm talking about when I say just creating a quick background. Now, I created that with no idea what's going on there. I don't know what it's going to be. I mean, if I look at it instantly, to me, it says woodland, it says nature, but you know, these colors could be like a ranch, cowboys, it could be owls, it could be whatever this speaks to me of. And what I do is I like to go through my art journals, filling up all the backgrounds with something, even if it's just a squiggly line in a water-based crayon or something. And then I go back through and choose a page that catches my eye and then create within it or experiment within it. Here's another one. See, they're not meant to be finished pieces. They are literally just backgrounds. You'll note that I haven't got anything really high contrast in there. It's a background. I don't want a focal point. I don't want a high contrast because I don't want the eye being drawn to something. And again, here's another one. This is also a great way to play around with different color schemes or different paint colors. Doesn't take a lot of paint. In fact, the less paint, the better, to be honest with you. But there you go. So this is what we're going to aim for. Now, I have earmarked a page here that's a double spread because I think doing a double spread is a lot more impressive than just doing one. So I tend to have my book lying flat. If I'm at the beginning or the end of the book and it's at a different level, I'll sometimes prop it up on something, but it doesn't overly bother me. So let's pull in my gel plate. Let's see if I do a bit of jiggery pokery here and get the gel plate as close to. I'm sure you're going to be able to see it. To be honest with you, it's only going to be a little bit that you're going to need to see the gel plate anyway. So if you don't have a lot of experience in combining colors or working with colors, what I would say is get yourself a color wheel. Now, this is actually a so easy color wheel. There are the details from it. It's the one I use most because what I like to do is if I'm working on an art piece or something and I'm trying to find what color is missing, like this is meant for these holes to go over swatches of fabric. However, and that's why it's a quilting color wheel. But for me, if I'm doing something in green, if I put that over my piece of artwork, I find what the green is. If the green is within this border here, I then know what the complementary is. I know what the split complementaries are. I know what the triads are. And these are all words you may not be familiar with, but as you work more and more with the color wheel, you will find out what you need to know. Now, you don't need to buy a color wheel. If you are just going to do what I'm about to show you what you're going to do, all you need to do is do a Google search on color wheel and the images will come up, and just look at the color wheel on screen. You don't need to buy one. Heck, you could even print one out if you wanted, but you will find the colors will change slightly depending on your printer and your print rig. So this is what I'm using. Now, what I tend to do, because I want something that's quite harmonic, is I choose a color and then I choose the color either side of it. And the reason I like this wheel is I can choose any color within there, any color within there, any color within there. Now, because I'm only choosing those three, they will all work together. No matter what I do, they will all work together. So the colors I've chosen, let's see if I've got this right, is these three colors. And I pulled in green gold, which is pretty much that color there. I pulled in this teal color, which is pretty much that color there. And I pulled in this sort of sappy leafy green, which is somewhere around there. Those are the three colors I'm going to work with, and I use white. Okay, so that's where we're at with all of this. So once you've decided on what color combination, and if you look like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12, 24, 36. You could make 36 backgrounds just by doing this one and the two next to it. This one, the two next to it. This one, the two next. Do you see what I mean? And then you can mix your own colors. And I guarantee by the time you got to the end of all those pages, you'd know a heck of a lot more about color mixing. So anyway, enough of me gossiping. What I tend to do is I like to work with my darkest color first. So in this instant, I would say it's my teal color. And I'm saying teal because that's what I remember it saying on the bottle. Now, that's as much as I'll put out. Okay, I'm not going for huge guns on this. Also, I want to protect my other pages. So I've just got a couple of cookie sheets just for my regular grocery store. Do be aware, these cookie sheets sometimes are slightly porous. So just actually just lift that up and put it under there so that I don't get paint stuck on the top of it. Or you could use magazine pages or whatever you want to protect your pages with. Freezer paper, wax paper, deli paper, whatever you've got to hand, just so if any paint goes over the edge, it doesn't stick your pages together. This is a 4-inch speedball brayer. You basically need something that will roll something out. I load up my brayer and I will just go over the page. Now, I tend to work in horizontal and verticals, as you know. Not necessary, that's just the way I work. I don't worry that I'm getting down in the crack in the middle, because remember, this is not my finished page. Try to be a little cautious, because you may have noticed as I came up, I hooked this page, which means I've now put paint on the other side. Now, when my gel plate becomes empty, that means I've used all the paint up on there and the paint is pretty much right. I still have some on there. I don't mind. This is about blending colors as well. So I'm going to pull in this green. I think it's sort of a sap green, sort of leaf green. I did mix the color up myself, so there isn't actually a name for it. It just happens to be whatever color I choose it to be. And I repeat the process. But this time, as I'm using it, I'm going to try and aim for areas that I didn't do before. And you can see where this really starts to make interest. Now, as you've got wet paint on here, periodically go across the whole spread, because what that will do is it will pick up and blend other pieces of paint. This is also one of those processes, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, if not more, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. Okay, at the moment, it looks very blotchy and you're going, what the heck is going on? Again, my plate is pretty much empty. For some reason, it's not sticking to my thing today. Then I'm going to come in, this is green gold, which was the other one that was closer to. Now, why do I start on here and not put the paint directly on there? I do that, open up. Ooh, that's nasty. I didn't like the tip of that one, obviously. I start working on my mini gel plate over here, or as I said, you can brayer out directly on your ceramic tile, Or if you've got, heck, you could even roll out on one of these if it wasn't a porous one, or maybe a bit of plastic, or maybe a page protector, whatever you want to use to roll out on. The only thing is you will need a brayer for this. I would believe you need a brayer for this. The reason I don't put it on here is because the moment I put the paint on here, it will start to absorb into the paper, and therefore I'll have blobs. Now I've got patches, but patches to me are different than blobs. So I'm going to come in over the top with this. Try not to avoid the middle like I do constantly. So that's on there, and then I come in with a bit of white, and I put that onto my dirty plate. As you can see, the plate has not been cleaned once, nor has the brayer. And that's because it will now blend. Now I'm skipping over the top of these pages. Okay, I'm not putting a lot of pressure down. I'm just literally letting the brayer run its course. Oops, and I'm moving stuff all over the place. Sorry about that. Now, once I've got a base layer down, I will look at this and go, right, do I need to bring anything back to the fore? And I think I do. I want to bring a little bit of that teal back. And I'm talking a little bit of the teal. Just that much. Remember, I haven't cleaned my brayer. I'm going to have to condition this. I haven't cleaned my brayer, and I haven't cleaned my gel plate. Now, of course, because all the colours work, you can add white to any of them and make a different version of the colour. You come in again with white. Just a little bit of white. And I'm going to come in. Now, these pages are taking quite a bit of a bashing of paint, but because I'm putting it on with a brayer and I'm putting it on thinly, I'm not worried about it. Now, we're not finished yet. I need to think, is this done? I think it probably needs a little more white, to be honest with you. Or a little more pale. Let's take some of the green gold and mix the green gold. Come on, you, out you come. Right, I'm adding just a little bit of green gold to the white, because remember, I can adjust the colours. I tend not to use black because I don't want to put any hint of contrast in here. But you can see I've got a really nice colour now. And I come in, and all of these layers are actually just adding layer upon layer upon layer of depth to my creation. Caught the page again. I don't normally have my plate this close, that's why it's catching, and I don't want to clip the edge there. I'm not going to be able to use the brayer right up to the edge. Now, I've got to this point, I'm quite happy with this. What I will do is I'm just going to take a bit of book page. I want to clean this plate off slightly. I don't want it laden with green, because the next thing I want to do is go to white. And when I say white, I mean white. So just cleaning everything off. That was a stupid thing to do, but there you go. I was lucky, it didn't catch. And I am going to clean my brayer. Now, I'm doing this because I want to give the corners some interest. And the corners I want to give interest is I want to almost vignette this. Now, I'm going to take this away from here and put it out of shot, because I need to work right up to the edges of here. So I will bring it in, as you've seen. So just a little bit of white on there. And I'm going to load my brayer up, not heavily. What I'm doing is I'm just catching little bits of it so that I'm building paint up on my brayer, but I'm not building the thickness of it. Now this time, this can be tricky. I go from the outside in, and I kind of flick it inwards. I try to make sure I don't roll the corner of my page into my brayer. Now you're probably asking, why don't I go that way? If I go that way, I immediately put a start line. Right, I would, where the blow would be, I'd have a line where it started. Whereas if I do this, coming in, I get a nice corner. And I don't mind when I've got some paint down there, going back and forth just to cover up pieces. I'm going to come in with the other one from the other corner. Now, once I've got my corners done, actually this one needs a little bit more, I tend to just come around the edges as well. And what this is doing is it's just framing my page. It's subtle, but it's framing my page. I've got a little more white on there. Oops, that's stuck. Now, the reason that curled up is the paint on this corner is still sticky. So, of course, it immediately stuck to the brayer. Right, come down, give a bit on the edges. Now, I'm using white acrylic paint. You could, at this point, be using white gesso if you wanted. White gesso will be more transparent or translucent, or should I say semi-transparent. Oh, there's a fly in here. That needs to be gone for a start. Will be it will be less opaque than white paint. Right, I think we're done there. I've just started pulling the paper up here in the corner. Just be careful if that happens, okay? Because that's an indicator that you've stressed the paper out too much. So I'm just going to come in with a bit of paint and just put it over there. Just so it smooths it out. In the long run, as I said, I don't know what's happening on these papers, so I could be collaging over the top. I could do a painting over the top. I'm not going to worry too much because I don't actually know what's coming onto these pages. I need that to stop sticking though. Right. So there you go. So that's how I do it. That's all. Oh, I've got a little bit left here, so I'll just use a little bit on there. So there you go. So we now have a completely prepared background. I would let that dry for a full 24 hours before I shut my art journal. But that's ready to go. And when we take these away, see, isn't that gorgeous? So, and that's what I do. Periodically, I'll just go through and I'll choose 3 colors and make a background. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. It was literally just about showing you how to break a page. Now, what would I do on this? I don't know what I would do on this at the moment. To be honest with you, if I'm looking at this, I could do a botanical on here. I could do insects on here. Because the teal is there, I could even go into like underwater, fish pond, something like that. I could do something with, say, a green elven figure in it. It could just be anything. This fly is going to be gone in a moment. So anything could be done with this. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. It was just a really quick make from me. I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Crafter. Until next time, goodbye now.